Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. Former Steelers OL opens up about trade out of Pittsburgh. I felt blindsided. When the Pittsburgh Steelers traded Kevin Dotson, it came after the team had invested heavily in the guard position, including signing James Daniels and Isaac Seumalo. That left Dotson as a backup and on the outs. The Los Angeles Rams allowed Dotson to spread his wings and soar. He earned one of the highest-paying contracts for a guard in the NFL after a breakout season that saw him entrench himself as a long-term starter. Talking with Ari Meirov, Dotson revealed he was a bit stunned by the entire ordeal, mainly because he felt he had not done anything to get traded. "I just felt kind of blindsided a little bit overall," Dotson told Ari Meirov of the 33rd team about his trade to the Los Angeles Rams. "I didn't really understand. I didn't believe that I did bad production-wise or anything like that. I was told that this is competition, you're going to compete for it, but you can kind of tell when it's not. Once it did that, I just knew that I couldn't mess my reputation up by being a cancer to the team or anything like that, so I just kept it rolling. Always kept a good attitude. Just waiting for my chance to go somewhere else. I was gonna make my name on it. It's one of those things where there's no point in worrying about it. I'm going to do my thing once I get a chance." The Steelers might regret this trade. They ended up getting 2 draft picks out of it, but all in all, Dotson has become one of the NFL's better guards. Seumalo has played well, but Dotson could still be one of the team's long-term answers at guard. Mason McCormick seems to be the next answer for the Steelers at right guard. However, they still need a long-term answer at left guard, and Dotson certainly could have been that player. Instead, he is now showing out with the Rams. A 4th-round pick by the Steelers out of Louisiana Lafayette in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Steelers saw Dotson emerge early in his rookie season as a legitimate player. Once that occurred, they gave him the mantle for the next 2 seasons before signing Seumalo. Steelers urged to make wild trade with Vikings. After yet another disappointing season for the Pittsburgh Steelers, the offseason is in full steam, with crazy mock drafts and zany trades running rampant as the league year is set to begin. The Steelers have been named in countless rumors and possible deals this offseason, but none have been as interesting as the ones suggested by ESPN's Evan Cohen. On an episode of ESPN's Unsportsmanlike on Tuesday, Cohen floated a trade that would send T.J. Watt to the Minnesota Vikings for untested quarterback J.J. McCarthy in return. "I could come up with some teams that we don't think are going to be very good and maybe go all in for their quarterbacks, but then you're going to be like, okay, why are they going to give up that quarterback?" Cohen said. "Unless you're going to trade T.J. Watt to the Vikings for J.J. McCarthy. That's actually an interesting trade now that I just think about that. Totally out of left field that I just made that up. I like that trade a lot now that I think about it." While Cohen's trade could hypothetically fix the Steelers' woes at quarterback after another season of inconsistency, the trade itself is not likely to happen in the slightest. Not only is Watt the best asset that the Steelers currently have, other than their brand, but McCarthy seems like a bad return as well. The thought that the Steelers would risk ruining their entire defense for a quarterback that has played 0 NFL snaps is utterly incomprehensible. It's likely that the Steelers will make some sort of move to land a quarterback, but it is a lot more likely that it would be a free agency signing of someone like Justin Fields rather than trading the backbone of their team for nearly the last decade. Top NFL draft analyst predicts the Steelers land their next QB at pick 21. It's NFL mock draft season, and one of the top draft analysts in the space, Dane Brugler of The Athletic, just dropped his first post-combine mock draft. Folks may be surprised to see who falls to the Pittsburgh Steelers at pick 21 in this edition, Colorado QB Shedeut Sanders. There's no doubt that the Steelers need a quarterback, though they do appear to be in a race to sign either Justin Fields or Russell Wilson ahead of free agency. However, a fall for Sanders all the way to pick 21 would be a surprise after being projected as a potential top 5 pick earlier in the draft process. Brugler acknowledged the fall in his mock, stating, "Sanders is going to be a wild card in this draft. He could go in the top 6 or fall out of the first round entirely, and neither outcome would be a shock." On Sanders' fit with the Steelers, Brugler notes, "He is not a first-round quarterback for a lot of NFL teams, which isn't a major surprise, and matches my evaluation. But all it takes is one front office to roll the dice on his skill set." If Sanders falls out of the top 10, this would be an interesting landing spot. The Steelers are searching for answers at the QB position. In his final season at Colorado, Sanders led the NCAA with a 74% completion rate, throwing for 4,134 yards, 37 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. He led the Big 12 in completions, 353, passing yards, 4,134, touchdowns responsible for, 41, passing yards per attempt, 8.7, and passing efficiency rating, 168.2. The Steelers would surely enjoy his accuracy and ability to protect the football, noted with a 1.5% turnover-worthy play rate in 2024, which ranked 6th lowest among QBs with 150 dropbacks according to The Ringer. On the flip side, one of his biggest critiques has been his tendency to take sacks, leading the FBS with 204 pressured dropbacks last season, per PFF. Sanders tied for the second most sacks taken, 40, in the FBS during the 2024 season, playing behind an offensive line that struggled far too often. That's a problem the Steelers are all too familiar with. Sanders has been one of the more polarizing prospects atop draft boards this year, with that debate focusing not just on what he brings to the football field, but also his personality, which has reportedly been a turnoff for some teams. Coming out of the NFL Scouting Combine, NFL Draft insider Todd McShay shared that 2 teams drafting in the top 10 expressed concerns with their conversations with Sanders, stating that he did not feel take a professional approach to his interview. Another team shared that they did not feel Sanders took his interview seriously, McShay reported. Insider Josina Anderson shared a similar sentiment, posting on X, "I am disappointed to hear that a quarterback's coach from a team drafting in the top 7 referred to Shedeut Sanders as coming off brash and arrogant in his team interview and making his assessment known to a number of people," per source. Considering the question marks surrounding whether or not Sanders is truly a first-round talent, these sentiments floating around the scouting realm are just more fuel for a projected fall-come-draft night, though it still seems unlikely given the number of quarterback-needy teams drafting ahead of Pittsburgh at 21. Also factoring into the equation for Sanders is his father, Deion, an NFL Hall of Famer and current head coach of Shedeut's alma mater, the Colorado Buffaloes. His leadership and coaching style with Colorado have been frequent topics of conversation in the college football community, and he's been quite vocal about his son's future NFL career as well. In early January, Sanders shared on a media appearance that there are a couple of teams that I won't allow, Shedeut, to play for. On one hand, taking a swing on the likely QB2 in this draft class if he falls all the way to pick 21 could be intriguing. Keep taking swings until you get it right, right? On the other hand, and totally anecdotally, Sanders doesn't really seem to fit the Pittsburgh Steelers mold for an ideal culture fit. The Steelers are, historically, a private organization that does not indulge in the fanfare of a media circus, like the Dallas Cowboys, It doesn't seem all that likely that HC Mike Tomlin would have the interest or the patience to tolerate the extra attention that comes with a player like Sanders and his father Deion. And you, fan? What do you think about the situation of Shedeut Sanders? Write to us in the comments.